Thank you, Chair. And it is a tremendous privilege to speak from the platform, humbled in the knowledge that it was this conference 80 years ago that demanded public universal health care. And it was this party, almost 70 years ago, that established a national health service free at the point of use, covering every man, woman and child in the land. And today, we renew our commitment to that cause, and we dedicate ourselves to electing a Jeremy Corbyn Labour government whose mission will be the rebuilding of a comprehensive, universal, reintegrated public national health service, free at the point of use, there for all when you need it. And our task also today is to speak out with a sense of urgency about what is happening to our NHS. Waiting lists topped 4 million this year. 2.5 million people waited over 4 hours in A&E. This winter, patients on trolleys in corridors, ambulances backed up outside overcrowded hospitals. The nation left shocked by a little boy with suspected meningitis waiting 5 hours in an A&E without a bed, forced to lie on 2 plastic chairs. Some called it a humanitarian crisis. Well, conference, when you underfund the NHS, when you cut billions from social care, let's call it what it really is, a Tory-manufactured crisis. And this crisis, where waiting lists are now so lengthy that more and more patients feel they have no option but to pay for a surgeon to come to their bedside, while the rest who can't afford it wait longer and longer. Friends, a person's health should never depend on their individual wealth. So a Labour government would allocate an extra £45 billion to our NHS and social care sector. And to avoid another winter like the one we've just had, we would establish a £500 million emergency winter fund so that patients and their families never have to suffer like that again at winter. This is the leadership that Jeremy Hunt should be showing. But he's not, is he? In fact, you may have seen it in the newspapers today. Last week, Jeremy Hunt ordered hospital bosses to a summit where they were instructed to chant, "We can do this." It's absolutely true. You can't make things like this up. Well, you know something? The NHS doesn't need silly Jeremy Hunt gimmicks. The NHS needs a Jeremy Corbyn Labour government. Now, I will be a health secretary who will work closely with all our NHS staff. So let us send a message today to the staff of the NHS, who work day in, day out, at weekends too, whose hands deliver us into the world, who comfort us in our final moments. You have our gratitude, you have our backing, you have our commitment that we will tackle chronic vacancies, we will bring back the bursaries, and we will scrap the pay cap and deliver fair pay for all of you. And to those of you who come to our shores from the EU and beyond, we say you are welcome, your rights will be secured, you are not bargaining chips, but you are part of our society and part of the fabric of the National Health Service as well. But we all know the fabric of that NHS is being constantly undermined by the millions of pounds wasted on the constant, endless tendering of services to private providers. And we know it's patient care that suffers. Let me give you one very quick example. An ambulance contract here in Sussex, handed to a private company who didn't even own any ambulances. So they subcontracted to 20 other companies. 2 of those companies ceased trading, and ambulance drivers couldn't be paid. Now, thankfully, that contract has been taken off private hands and back into the NHS. And recently, I had the privilege of meeting some of those ambulance drivers from the GMB, ambulance drivers who took their patients to appointments for weeks without pay. Doesn't that... Don't those ambulance drivers show that public service is about a greater calling, is about compassion, care and public duty, not contracts, markets and commercialisation? So I can pledge to you today, a Labour government will legislate to reinstate the Secretary of State's responsibilities for universal care, will reintegrate the NHS, reverse the Health and Social Care Act, fight the fire sale of assets and end Tory privatisation. But you know something else? You'll have seen it in your local communities. Cutting beds, closing services, rationing of treatments because of Tory underfunding is not sustainable transformation. So, conference, we will stop the SDPs and integrate health and social care as well. Now, I also want a new approach to public health that protects people's well-being for years to come. To prevent disease, to reduce the toll from cancer, stroke, heart disease, diabetes, it's time to start tackling the causes of ill health as well. We need to end the dismantling of our public health services. We need to tackle social isolation. We need to build decent homes and improve the quality of the air we breathe. We have seen an increase in hospital admissions for malnutrition in this country. We have seen a stalling in the improvement in life expectancy for the first time in 100 years. Now, we know a child born into poverty is likely to suffer far worse health outcomes in life. It was once said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. Now, this party has long been committed to abolishing child poverty. So I can tell you today that the next Labour government will commit to an all-out assault on child ill health too. No longer will we let squalor impair the health of our children, conference. So that means we'll recruit more health visitors and school nurses for our communities. We'll invest in dentistry, and to tackle child obesity, we'll give every infant a free school meal and ban junk food advertising on family nighttime television too. and will end the disgraceful cuts to child and adolescent mental health services. We'll end the scandal of children being treated in adult wards and finally deliver true parity of esteem conference. I want to tell you about one other thing. This year, £43 million will be slashed from alcohol and drug addiction treatment services. Recently, I chose to speak out very personally about my own circumstances. Growing up with a dad who had a drink problem. He was an alcoholic. His drinking hung over all my childhood. I remember going home, the fridge was filled with nothing but bottles of drink. Spending evenings with him where all he did was drink until he fell asleep. Things got so bad in his later years that he felt he couldn't even come to my wedding because he was too embarrassed. I tell you this story not for your indulgence or sympathy, but because there are 2 million children growing up with an alcoholic parent. 335,000 children grow up with a parent with drug abuse issues. So part of our assault on child ill health, I will put in place, with your support, hopefully, the first ever national strategy to support children of alcoholics and drug users, and will invest in addiction treatment and prevention as well. So conference, thank you. So conference, a fully funded public national health service, fair pay for our staff, an end to Tory privatisation, an assault on health inequalities, the very best quality of care for all, free at the point of use, there when you need it. This is what we strive for. We settle for nothing less. It is the demand of a civilised society. So today, we pledge ourselves to united effort and resolve that the next Labour government will rebuild our NHS. Thank you very much.